Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Charlene Aaron. Donald Trump won Tuesday's Republican primaries in West Virginia and Nebraska, and Democrat Bernie Sanders picked up more delegates in the two states than Clinton. Dale Hurd has the story.
He's still way behind, but says he's not giving up. Bernie Sanders calls his win in West Virginia tremendous.
It appears that we've won a big victory in West Virginia.
Hillary Clinton still holds a commanding delegate lead, but Sanders still has the fight in him.
We are in this campaign to win the Democratic nomination.
But Sanders' quest appears to be almost impossible, with Clinton 94% of the way to winning the nomination.
If I'm so fortunate enough as to be the nominee, I am looking forward to debating Donald Trump come the fall.
Still, Clinton faces the FBI investigation of her email scandal. Her loss in West Virginia, a state she took in 2008, was payback for her statements in March that a lot of coal miners and coal companies would be out of business. But she's also polling badly among whites, men, and young people. Many loyal Sanders supporters have vowed to never vote for her. On the Republican side, Donald Trump kept rolling, winning West Virginia and Nebraska. He told the Associated Press he's looking at 5 or 6 people as his running mate, all with deep political experience. One person Trump is likely not considering is Senator Marco Rubio, who told CNN he disagrees with Trump's America First foreign policy.
I have well-defined differences with the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party. And like millions of Republicans, he try to reconcile those two things.
Trump has a big meeting Thursday with Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, a group he's railed against, to try to patch up the public differences they've had. Unifying the Democrats is going to be an issue for Hillary Clinton, too. So after tough primary battles, both parties are facing the question of how to work together in the general election this fall. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
GOP lawmakers in the Senate are demanding answers from Facebook over its alleged bias toward conservative news. In a letter, Senator John Thune of the Senate Commerce Committee asked Facebook to answer questions about its news curation practices. The investigation comes after a former Facebook employee admitted to the tech blog Gizmodo that they routinely suppressed conservative news from the trending topics section. Facebook is denying the allegations. A new Tennessee law that protects the religious freedom of therapists is under fire. It allows therapists who can't counsel against their religious convictions to refer patients to another counselor. The American Counseling Association calls the law a hate bill that discriminates against the LGBT community and has canceled plans to hold a conference in Nashville. Supporters of the law say it's about protecting the conscience of professionals in the workplace. Well, Duck Dynasty star Phil Robertson says a mob mentality of political correctness is assaulting America's Judeo-Christian values, and we're slowly losing our soul. He's teamed up with the conservative group Citizens United to speak out against laws that would allow transgendered men and women to use the bathroom of their choice. In an email, the Duck commander wrote, "Just because a man may feel like a woman doesn't mean he should be able to share the bathroom with my daughter or yours. That used to be called common sense. Now it's called bigoted." The email contained a link to a website seeking donations. Well, the nation of Israel is probably best known for its biblical history, an outstanding military, and cutting-edge technology. Now it's also becoming known as something else, a world leader in diamonds. Chris Mitchell brings us that story from Jerusalem.
The Israel Diamond Exchange has the largest trading floor in the world. Some say it's like shopping in a diamond supermarket. While you may have heard that diamonds are a girl's best friend, what you might not know is many of those diamonds come from Israel.
Israelis have a very special knack in being able to run around the world and are very, in the most positive way possible, aggressively pursue business. And you see Israelis in New York all the time, you see Israelis in the Far East, and it's become a very important hub for global distribution of diamonds.
David Lasher is managing director of New York's Diamond Dealers Club.
New York is the bedrock of the world diamond industry. Over 40% of the world's diamonds are consumed by the U.S. Israel is a very important partner in moving the goods through the world and to the U.S.
The Israel Diamond Exchange boasts some 3,500 members. Shmuel Schnitzer is the lifelong honorary president of the Israel Diamond Exchange.
It's not easy to become a member here. You have to show your credibility in all aspects.
Oddly enough, this diamond connection began in Europe because it was one of the few trades allowed to Jews. As Jews returned to the Holy Land, they brought their knowledge with them.
It started in the 40s when Jews that ran away from Europe came to Israel, and they built the industry here. Since then, thanks God, we are growing and growing. In 1940, we had 70,000 US dollars exports. Today, we have about $7 billion only for Polish diamond export.
There are no diamond mines in Israel. All of its gems are imported to be traded, cut, and polished. Israel does not deal in conflict diamonds, stones that are sold to finance civil wars and bloodshed in Africa. Even today, the industry is very family-oriented, passing the business from generation to generation.
We are a family. My father is a diamond manufacturer for 50 years. Yeah, and for 50 years we manufacture diamonds. Myself inside the business, I'm making diamond jewelry.
And it's possible to spend a lot.
This product, it's around $200,000. I have $150,000 to $200,000. The people that can buy this is or wholesaler or a jewelry factory.
But why are diamonds so enduring? Schnitzer says it's a combination of women's love for diamonds and their lasting value. That could be why diamonds are forever. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
It can lower your risk for heart disease, replace allergy meds, and taste great with crumpets. Hear about some of the surprising benefits hidden in your tea. Well, it is one of the most common and widely studied drinks in America, tea. And the verdict is in. Tea is very good for you. Our health reporter, Lori Johnson, tells us which kinds are the best and why.
When it comes to our health, tea packs a powerful punch. Combined studies examining thousands of tea drinkers have led scientists to conclude a consistent dose of tea is good for the body.
Most of the research was done in Asian countries on people drinking hot green tea. The amount mattered. Usually, people only saw health benefits after drinking at least 3 cups a day.
That's the dose Manhattan cardiologist Patrick Fratellone recommends to his patients. Benefits include lower risk of diabetes, liver disease, and more.
The active component in green tea is EGCG, and that's a polyphenol that helps reduce cholesterol, heart disease, and protects against cancer.
It comes from the Camellia sinensis plant, as do black and white teas.
I like organic tea because they're grown in, you want to make sure it's grown in an area that's free of metal in the soil. So you don't want to have lead, cadmium, mercury, any bad toxic elements. If it's in a bag, you don't want a bag that has a staple on it. Sometimes that could get in the tea, but I'd rather have loose. Sometimes I don't even strain it. I leave it in there and tell them to eat the leaves.
Research shows green tea also helps the brain by improving memory, reducing the risk of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and depression, as well as significantly lowering your chance of having a stroke. Leave it longer in the hot water and it gets even better for you.
Tea is meant to be drunk plain, and you get the more medicinal benefits. When you add milk or sugar, you can deactivate some of the active medicinal components. If there's anything to add, I would add raw honey. So it's better to have hot or lukewarm. So when people have iced tea, green iced tea, you lose a lot of the benefits.
In addition to the teas you'd find at the grocery store, there are also lots of other teas that are very effective at treating specific medical conditions in lieu of popping a pill.
Dr. Fratellone is also a registered herbalist with a vast knowledge of teas made from various plants, trees, and shrubs. His patients often drink those teas instead of taking allergy medicines, antacids, cough suppressants, and more.
There are many teas that have antibiotic properties, so you don't always have to take an antibiotic. Yarrow has a great antibiotic profile against many bacteria and viruses. I use barberry, berberine. These are all teas from natural plants.
He points out many conventional medicines derive from plants.
We have a tea for arthritis. I use white willow bark, which is from the tree Salix. It's the active ingredient of aspirin, so I mix white willow bark, a little turmeric, a little ginger, and probably some devil's claw.
Dorota Meller needed to overcome her chronic fatigue.
So I was really dizzy all the time. I felt weak, I felt tired, I couldn't get out of bed, and then when it was evening time, I couldn't fall asleep, but I was always just lethargic.
Dr. Fratellone discovered a problem in her intestinal tract.
So not only the iron, but my vitamin D, my vitamin B, I wasn't absorbing anything that I was eating or my supplements or vitamins. I expected to be put on medication or additional supplements. I really didn't know, but Dr. Fratellone said it's as simple as a tea mixture. And when he first said it, I was maybe a little bit hesitant. I was like, how is this tea gonna help me?
Within a month, she felt better.
And my iron for the first time in probably 10 years is normal. And so is my vitamin D. So I know that whatever he gave me, it worked, and it's as simple and as easy as a tea.
I believe as an MD and an herbalist that the gut is the gateway of all disease. So I want to heal the gut first. So you might take gluten, dairy, and let's say corn out of your diet. Unless you heal your gut, you're still going to have the symptoms. So the gut healing tea contains slippery elm, marshmallow, meadowsweet, and raspberry.
He says cleavers, mullein, blue violet, and lady's mantle are good for breast health and PMS.
These are all teas for keeping the female side active, and we make that as a tea. I give that to some of the patients when they're going into menopause to ease in with a nice natural tea instead of taking a lot of things that are harmful.
It's important to know these teas can interact with conventional medicine, so check with your doctor or registered herbalist before drinking them. The growth of these treatments has led to a relatively new healthcare provider known as a naturopathic physician. They attend an accredited 4-year program focusing on botanical medicine, food as medicine, and other natural remedies.
I think there needs to be more marketing to realize this medicine is available and that you don't have to jump on a statin or a blood pressure medication when you might be able to control it with just some dietary changes and maybe the use of an herb, which is not that much different than a drug, which is why it's important, whether it's tea or herbal pills, that you do see a naturopath, because you need to have coordination of care with other medications as well.
While naturopathic doctors practice in each state, they're only licensed in 19, with more on the way. So for overall better health, begin or increase your daily dose of green tea. Research overwhelmingly concludes it's worth the effort. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Coming up, a pro-family advocate from the tiny nation of Georgia speaks out. We'll show you how he's fighting to protect family values. The Republic of Georgia is one of the oldest Christian countries in the world, and for centuries, numerous empires have tried to eliminate Christianity there. And now Georgia faces a new challenge to its values and its faith, this time from the United States and Europe. George Thomas brings us that story from the capital city of Tbilisi.
25 years after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Georgia's prime minister says forging ties with the West is in his country's best interest.
There is a very clear will of Georgian people and population to be pro-Western, to be pro-European.
The tiny nation of Georgia lies between Russia and Turkey. While the majority here favor closer ties,
we are not saying we are against West. I always say I'm a big enthusiast of selective Westernization of Georgia.
Many like Lovan Vazadze insist the opening must not happen at the expense of Georgia's faith and family values.
We'll take all the productive, progressive things from you, but we'll throw in garbage all the nonsense. And unfortunately, in this particular case, this means your current pseudo-moral standards need to stay outside of Georgia.
Vazadze is a prominent Georgian businessman and pro-family advocate. The pseudo-moral standards he refers to are efforts by the US and EU to force Georgia into accepting homosexual practices and same-sex marriage, as societal norms.
If you think indecent, radically sexual behavior is what you want to do, that's your choice. But if I think that this is an embarrassing sin, I want to remain in a society which is allowed to say that.
Much to his dismay, the Georgian parliament, under pressure from the European Union and with help from international pro-gay groups, passed a controversial law in 2014 making it illegal to discriminate against people on the basis of their sexual orientation. Vazadze says the decision amounted to the legalization of homosexuality in Georgia.
You say this law is part of an international agenda. What is that agenda?
To destroy a family. I believe the front line of this war is in every living room and in every bedroom, where your wife and my wife, our children sleep.
The front line is now spreading to Georgian classrooms, with children as young as 8 being taught gender theory.
To somehow alter and change.
Tinatin Khorbaladze is director of a pro-family organization. She says the aim is simple yet alarming.
To change the thinking of the children, to be open and to accept the things that still my generation and elder generation consider to be not really acceptable.
Georgia is deeply conservative. More than 80% of the population here say they belong to the Orthodox Church, and polls show a majority side with the church in opposing anything other than traditional heterosexual relationships.
We feel the responsibility for the future of this country, for the future of our children and next generation.
But not everyone agrees with the church's stance on marriage. Some human rights groups have labeled this country one of the most homophobic nations in the world. Are you afraid for your life?
As for me personally, yes, because my life is in danger in Georgia, and not just because of my sexual orientation, but because of my professional activities as well.
Georgi Tatashvili is transgender. He rarely gives interviews, but agreed to meet with CBN News at an undisclosed location in the capital. He is a lawyer for the LGBT community and says he has paid a price for it. They've arrested you, they've beaten you.
Yes, many times I was beaten by policemen, ordinary citizens, and in general from many people.
Tatashvili made headlines earlier this year when he became the first person ever to file a suit with the Constitutional Court seeking same-sex marriage. The lawsuit is still pending. A majority of Georgians today believe that what you're doing, your lifestyle, is sinful. And they say that you are destroying their country.
I think that this is the case, and I'm not surprised people feel this way. The principles of secularism are practically violated in Georgia. The Orthodox Church puts so much pressure on the society to make sure Georgian human rights are not extended to include LGBT people.
Meanwhile, Levan Vazadze worries the pressure to become more accepting of homosexuality in Georgia will only intensify following last year's controversial Supreme Court decision legalizing same-sex marriage in America. He bemoans the fact that since the ruling, many in America are too afraid to speak out against homosexuality.
You can no longer freely express your opinion about what's shameful and what is disgraceful, and you are crucified for that. The whole concept of sin is being abolished. Where is it? The metamorphosis in English language is staggering. I studied it since I was a child, and I remember that shame meant shame. In modern English, when someone says it's a shame, he or she means it's a pity. So we see a gutting of the concept of shame.
Vazadze is praying Georgia never reaches that point. He's urging his fellow countrymen to be bold in proclaiming the truth in love. Is it your opinion that the church in Georgia, Christians in Georgia like yourself, are in the end going to determine the future of your country?
What else? Of course. That's it. Nothing else.
George Thomas, CBN News in Tbilisi, the Republic of Georgia.
And what a very great report by our reporter, George Thomas, there in Georgia. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Pop singer Justin Bieber has made a permanent declaration of his faith, literally. The singer-songwriter tattooed a small cross on his face, representing his journey in finding purpose with God. Lately, Bieber has been open about his faith. At recent concerts, he's warned fans about making idols of celebrities and even invited a pastor to preach a mini sermon on stage. Bieber, who grew up as a Christian, says that he renewed his Christian faith recently and it is changing his life. In an interview with Complex magazine, Bieber said he wants his life to emulate Christ. We pray for Justin. And that's going to do it for now on CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day and God bless.